morning and happy Saturday. It's a beautiful Saturday today in Brockton, about 80 degrees. My name is Bruce Burleson and I am Assistant Chapter Leader for the Brockton Guardian Angels and co-founder of the chapter. I was reading in this morning's Brockton Enterprise that apparently, and folks who live around here are probably well aware of this situation, there's a bunch of blighted buildings on the corner of Warren Street and Pleasant Street that have been an eyesore for years. St. Paul's Church is planning on acquiring and redeveloping the boarded up former crack house that sits next to the church, as well as a restaurant on the corner of Warren and Pleasant. I say kudos to St. Paul's Church, good for you. This is the example of what communities can do to improve our neighborhoods, reduce blight, reduce crime, and provide jobs, because that's going to involve obviously construction jobs to get those buildings up and running. Another thing going on is that apparently the former supermarket at the corner of Warren and Pleasant, the city is now looking at possibly turning that back into some kind of supermarket or other business. However, there are no actual plans on the table. Now that building is probably the ugliest building in Brockton. You probably know which one I'm talking about. And I think the time is now for the city to really seriously start talking to developers and getting that thing underway. Because when buildings sit empty like that, quite frankly, they attract crime, they attract drug use, they attract graffiti, they attract all kinds of problems. We want buildings in this town to be used for things they really should be used for. And by the way, if you happen to live in that neighborhood, couldn't you use a supermarket? I mean, do you really want to go all the way to the west side or the east side if you don't have a car on the bat bus to try to go shopping? You know, lug all those bags onto the bus, come all the way back to where you live in the center of town. It doesn't make sense, and that building has been sitting empty for a long, long time. So I urge the city officials, let's get this ball rolling and let's get something moved into there, particularly a supermarket. It'd be a really good idea. And by the way, we Angels patrol that neighborhood quite frequently, and the boarded up crack house that's apparently going to be converted by St. Paul's, every single weekend we go by there, and there's a basement window that's, you know, gets boarded up, and then, you know, people go in and bash it in, and apparently they're partying or using drugs in the basement. And then they board it up again, and then they, you know, the locals bash it back in, and again, and around and around and around and around and around we go. So what I encourage the neighbors to do is, if you see suspicious activity around this property, don't just say, there's nothing I can do about it. Because if you sit around and wait for somebody else to do something, imagine if everybody just sat around and waited for somebody else to get something done. You know what happens then, folks? Nobody gets it done. If you see people loitering there, going in and out of that property, by all means, pick up the phone and call 911 and let the police know what's going on there. Because if you don't let them know, they can't do anything about it. The police are not everywhere at once. They really need to be called, and the community really needs to cooperate with the police in reducing crime, reducing urban blight, and other problems. Thank you very much. This has been Guardian Angels Brockton Community Talk. Remember, dare to care and keep it safe.